you're out there, you're riding, you're having a good time, and taking in the outdoors.
The fight isn't over. The fight is just beginning.
What's going on, guys? This is Carl with the Racer Red channel. We're starting out with the 2022 Oreana 100 desert race. The bike handled terribly for this race, and it has handled terribly ever since I crashed in Washington last year. I ran into a tree with the bike, and I haven't done much racing since that. And what riding I've done has been in the snow, so I haven't really taken a good look at the bike, and I just assumed that the wash in the front end and how weird it felt was just because I was riding in slick conditions. But this really highlighted why you need to go over your bike and why you need to practice so much. I did actually go over the bike. I started a week before the race, but that was not enough time. I found that the whole front end is bent, and I'm holding the bars to the right in order to go straight during this race. So the bike handled terribly. I wasn't hitting anything square. I would say the best spot for me during this race was the sand washes, because I could kind of steer with my body and kind of lean the bike and kind of get the bike tracking the right way. But even then I was probably 10% slower, and in the technical sections around rock, I couldn't avoid rocks. It was just, it was madness. I was probably going 50% slower in the technical sections and probably 25% slower in the whoop sections, because every time my front wheel would leave the ground and then hit the ground again, it would be sideways and it would throw me off to the side and throw me off balance. So it was very bizarre to ride the bike this way, and for the most part I was making do until lap 2. So I basically ran the bike the best that I could all the way until the second lap. And during the second lap, right at the beginning, my clutch went out, so that it basically had to be let all the way out. It was either on or off. There was no feel to it. So the clutch went out right at the beginning of lap 2, and so I was without a clutch and my bars were bent. It just wasn't going well. So the bike is so important, and I did go over the bike. I mean, I gave it an oil change, I changed the air filter, I went over the general body work and all of that stuff, and got the bike the best that I could get it. But I found out that the bar risers were bent before this race, probably about a week before this race, and I was replacing everything I could. I've replaced the handlebars, the bar riser bolts, I've replaced those, and then I also took the bar riser itself and put it in a vise and heated it up. And we tried to bend it back straight the best that we could, and I thought we had gotten it pretty straight, but we put it back on the bike, got the bike back together with no effect. It's still, you have to hold the bars to the right in order to go straight. So definitely not good. Here I'm behind a pro red plate, and it was definitely slow going here at the beginning. This is why it's important to get a good start. This guy in front of me here, I think it's him, he ends up cheating the worst I've seen anybody cheat before. I mean, I wouldn't do that just because I don't, like, if I'm going to go race, I'm going to race. I'm going to race against you. I'm not going to, it's just pointless to be in a race unless you're going to actually compete against the other people. So, but he ends up going off like cross-country riding, and it was pretty blatant cheating. But and the funny thing is, after I passed all these people, I was actually catching back up to him. So it took me a while, but I was still catching back up to him, and yeah, there he goes off into the Badlands out there. And then I blow this corner and go up, and I'm like, I thought it was just a little course cut here, but it was, see, I could have just stayed up on there and made a whole bunch of passes, but I went back down and actually went back onto the course. But he's still out there. You can see in the video, he's a little speck out there just riding off into the distance over these mountains. Like, he's out there, yeah, just way basically, whatever position he got, in my mind, he's last place. He just got to disqualified. He should have been disqualified for sure. But anyways, this was a cool race. It was a really good course. They marked it well. It was very high speed for the first lap, and a little bit dusty, but not too bad. As you can see, the soil actually has pretty good moisture to it, so it kept the dust down pretty good, and what dust there was got blown away, and I crashed. And if I don't know if you guys want to rewind that, but there's a guy in front of me that was in the middle of crashing, and I was trying to avoid him, and so I attempted to hit that bush instead of run into him, and it didn't work out for me. So that's why you really have to choose your lines wisely. And when you're watching other riders, if they're out of control, you just have to do your best to get around them, and I didn't do a very good job right there. I just made a last-minute decision to go into the bushes instead of run straight into him, because I thought for sure he was going down. He was all out of control. So, and this is the first section where I was like, okay, I'm going to go fast in some whoops, and I was landing with my front wheel sideways every time, and it was getting me all sideways and out of control. I was like, oh my goodness, this is horrible. So I could not make this bike track straight no matter what I was doing. So I thought I could get away with going into the whoops here and pass this guy, but not with the bike sideways at all. I mean, it was just dangerous, very dangerous. So yeah, the wind is blowing this stuff out of my way for the most part, unless we're going, you know, into the wind or with it. But for the most part, the dust wasn't horrible. This course has a lot of diversity to it, especially on lap 2. And although normally I really love that, this race I wasn't a big fan, only because of my bike. I wasn't able to avoid rocks, so I was whacking into every single rock that existed on the course for sure. But here's a checkpoint, just pulling in to get marked and ready to go back out onto the course. And the engine on this bike is pretty flawless. I mean, as far as a desert racing bike, I can't fault the engine at all. The funny thing is, I was actually running studs on my front wheels as well, and I'll take those off before the next one. I definitely did not need them, that's for sure. And I don't know that they really are detrimental in any way, but it is kind of weird to have studs when you're out racing. I'm actually surprised that they didn't get thrown off more than they did. But a lot of these sections, you can tell I'm turning to the right in order to go straight, and it's really bizarre, especially when you're on the bike. So this bike is not fit for going high speeds or racing. I can't even trail ride this bike how it is. It's just not safe to ride. So definitely not good. Not good at all. You can see the bars are turned to the right to try to stay in that rut. So sketchy. The ruts were the sketchiest part, because I was trying to stay in there, and it's a bizarre feeling to turn in order to go straight. But here's a really rocky section, and sketchy going up that rock because I couldn't hit it straight on again. I mean, that's another thing about having your bars turned sideways, is you're hitting nothing straight on. You're not hitting anything square. So I was hitting everything at a weird angle because I couldn't tell where the front tire was pointing. I got up through that technical section pretty okay, but here I was hitting every rock. I know you guys probably can't see, but I was hitting every single rock. I made 3 passes right here just going up over this rock, and I was pretty frustrated, just hitting everything I didn't want to hit and getting off into places I didn't want to go. It was so frustrating. And I've cut a lot of this video. I was swearing a lot and yelling at my bike pretty much the entire race, so I've cut most of that out. You guys don't need to hear a lot of F-bombs and yelling at my bike. But here I'm just very, very upset, and I think that's really detrimental. I mean, it's best just to stay calm no matter what your situation is, but I was getting pretty mad at the bike right here. hitting every rock in sight, and just definitely not good. But my big crash is coming up. The big game ender, the race ender is coming up. Here you can hear me yelling, the bike won't go straight. So coming up, you'll see me hit this rock, and it will jackknife the front all the way to the left because I'm not hitting anything square. This was 100% caused by my bike issue. Here it comes. So there it is. Boom, I landed with my hip right on a rock. Did not feel good. Did not feel good at all. And I laid there for a very long time. I couldn't get up. I couldn't even feel if it was broken. I thought for sure I had broke my leg. So, yeah, that was the race ender. I ended up 33rd out of 210 racers. After I got up, I just basically stuck it in second gear and just rolled the course. This is me after the wreck, and I'm just cruising. I'm not really racing anymore, and at that point I had finally decided that the bike was just not fit for racing and just was not safe. But regardless, I did have a good time on this race. I mean, it was a lot of fun. The course was really cool. I mean, if I had been on a healthy bike, it would have been so much fun. But regardless, it was still a cool course, and I was glad to be out there, even on this bike that was handling worse than any bike I have ever ridden in my life. So anyways, guys, I will catch you on the next video. I hope there's not too much complaining about the bike, which I think that's about 98% of this video, but is what it is. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.